So he started to rebuild the city, and the first thing Henry Flagler did when he got here in 1885 was he bought up all the property that he could find because he was so rich, right? And then he starts to build these really fancy hotels, and I'm going to show you a couple of those hotels. They're very famous. Now, these hotels that I'm going to show you were actually built in 1888.
Dang, that's old.
Tell how old those are, right? Just do the mathematics.
That's like
pretty
at
old.
least 200.
Now,
What is
Henry Flagler built churches, he built schools, he built
Because we're near the
stores,
water.
he built hotels, he built railroads, he had built pretty much everything in
No,
the
we
city.
don't need a harness.
Oh,
the floor! The floor!
See the cemetery? See the cemetery over here?
Oh, I heard that's
You
haunted.
know what?
That's haunted, actually.
What if I told you that there were 900 people buried in there?
What?
Is that 900 people?
God, dang it.
You think there's 900
There's a
tombstones
jail.
in there?
No, that's not the
way,
jail. I already
There's
know.
only 80 tombstones. You know how they buried the people there? They dug really deep holes and they piled them up inside the hole and they covered them up. That's how
That's
they buried them.
disgusting.
That's right. And that's called a mass grave. Alright? Now, this part of town, if you look
He's wearing
around,
a long
there's a
jacket.
lot of walls. You see these walls?
Look at that right there, guys.
That is the
Guys, look at that. The flags.
Now, the Kubo line was built by order of the Queen of Spain. Her name was Isabella. Now, what happened was the British used to fight the Spanish that lived here all the time. And every time the British would come in, they would burn their city and they would burn their fort to the ground. So that's why the Queen built the wall, because it went all the way around the city. You know what they call that? They call that a presidio.
British people
Now,
attacked us.
You're probably thinking you could climb over that wall if you wanted to. You'd be right, except for the plants that you see over here. You see these plants? Those things are called Spanish bayonets. And what they would do with those is they would plant them on the other side of the wall. And when the British soldiers would creep up on the wall, climbing through the swamps at night, they would run into those plants. And they're sharp and pointy like a knife. So they really got a lot of trouble when they did that. Now,
Look, the walls.
they also had city gates. They had a big set of stone gates, which was the only way you could get in.
Bro, I didn't know how cold 40-something would be.
I have something that can make me
Really,
warm.
really small city.
Ooh,
Now, here's
another-
the cemetery on the right, guys. Take a look at this one. You know what this one's called? This one's called the Talamato. It's a
I want to
Catholic
walk
cemetery.
in there.
The one I showed you earlier
Like a
was called the
Catholic
Huguenot Cemetery. And the Huguenots were Protestants.
They don't
Okay?
say. Ooh.
Now,
I want to
this
go in
cemetery
there.
is considered to be the most haunted cemetery in the United
Riley,
States.
I want to go. I
That's
want
the
to
most
go
haunted
now.
cemetery in the United States of America.
Please, can we go in?
We're going to
No.
go up here a little bit.
Dang it, we're not going in the haunted cemetery.
Oh, I've been recording for 3 minutes.
We could see orbs.
I friggin' hate this.
In the dark, we could see orbs, maybe, with our pictures.
Remember, I saw a spirit. Then all those say black people couldn't feel they not seen it. Without believing me.
I saw it. Yeah.
When you saw a spirit on this thing, I saw it. That was weird. She was creeping around.
Did you know in the jail, you can talk to spirits with a spirit thingy monitor?
They respawn, but you can't hear them, but they respawn actually.
No, they said.
Remember playing Charlie Charlie?
Oh my God, Charlie, that was creepy as fuck.
Remember the little kill you?
We should have asked Charlie, are you a serial killer? Because he has no face. Also.
Ponce de Leon Hotel.
Ponce de Leon!
Church, see that church?
La Florida!
Look,
In 1887.
La Florida!
Really pretty.
La
There are a lot
Florida!
of churches around here. See,
La
really
Florida!
love the
La Florida!
everybody out. Yeah.
on your head.
Now, there's another
I
church
might
up
do
here on the
it.
right. It's a big yellow brick church. You see the big steeple above the trees there? Now that church is
Okay, but I'm gonna use
the
it
second
right back.
oldest brick building in the city of St Augustine. And they built that in 1895. Baptist church. It's called the 18th church.
I can take it off.
Now you see there's a big bell tower in front of it, right? You see a big bell tower? What if I told you there was never ever a bell in that church? They built a big bell tower, but they weren't allowed to put a bell in it. They weren't allowed because Henry Flagler paid for the church. And he didn't want to hear the bell because he lived
Oh,
in
wait, it said
so
storage
he made a
pole.
promise they wouldn't put a bell in their church. And they did.
But got storage pole. Shut up.
That church might win the Nobel Prize.
Shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
We're trying to listen. You're
I am.
You're being loud as hell.
Fanciest church that Henry Flagler built. And it's the Presbyterian Memorial Church.
Then the least.
Henry Flagler was a Presbyterian, so he put a lot more money into that church. Look at that.
Yeah,
How big it
obviously.
is.
What do you think?
Now,
Yeah,
do you want to know something? They opened this church up in 1890, and they didn't have any kind of power tools. They didn't have any kind of trucks.
No.
Everything they did here was done by hand.
Older than us combined.
So they had to climb all the way up there.
You want to know something? This church got built. This is why this church is famous. This church got built completely in less than 1 year. Can you imagine that? Less than 1 year, he put this church up.
Because they probably used a lot.
And the reason he did it was because
They had no tools, Riley.
he wanted
No
to
power tools.
The power tools would be like one day,
anniversary
probably.
of the death of his little girl. Her name was Jenny Louise.
death of
Daughter.
his
No, no, my cup.
She died a year earlier, and she was giving birth to a little baby. Her name was Marjorie, a little baby girl. And that would have been Henry Flagler's granddaughter, right? But she died only 3 hours after she was born. So that was a really sad time for them.
No.
That's
Right.
sad.
That's
3
why
hours.
She didn't even get to live.
She only lived for 3
All right, now
hours.
there's
Sometimes
Flagler
babies
College
can't
again. Remember
live.
we're talking about
I feel
Flagler
bad.
College? There it is. Now see how big it is? That was a hotel before it was ever college. It was the
Oh, there's a kid at school. Why does it smell like?
1888.
What if I told you
I know.
that this building was the first building to ever have plumbing in the room? Like you can turn on the faucet and get hot and cold water. Before they built this, the only way you could wash, they had a big tub of water called a basin on the countertop, and you used to wash yourself with that every morning. Those big towers you see on the right, they were water towers. And on top of them, they had 9,000 gallons of water in every one of those. And then it would push down through. You guys know about gravity, right? Gravity would push that water down through, and it would go into the pipes, and it would go into the room. So people could turn the water on and off. That's pretty cool. Now this building right here,
It's
you
too
see this
sunny.
building?
No, it ain't.
That
Well,
used
for
to
you,
be
mine.
full of generators that made
I like that.
electricity.
I'm gonna take a picture in the haunted
Now,
Jail.
the only person in the world who could have designed and built electric generators back in 1888.
I thought electric chair.
Friend. Who heard of Thomas Edison? You know who Thomas Edison is?
No.
Right? That was Henry Flagler's friend.
I do.
He's the one that built those generators that used to be in that building. That's pretty crazy.
I want to look for another cemetery and take a picture and see if I
We're
see
going to go down
it.
into the hotel.
Any spirits?
Yeah, I
Flagler's
can't.
very, very famous hotel.
Dang, a cat. What is that?
Looking at the Ponce de Leon, and that is certainly the most famous. You see that big round building on the right over there in the middle?
Her cat right there.
That's the cafeteria for the college, but it used to be.
Y'all so worried about that. Y'all supposed to be learning about facts.
Ponce de Leon hotel. Now you guys ever hear of Louis Comfort Tiffany?
No.
No way!
So Louis Comfort Tiffany is the guy who invented Tiffany stained glass. And he was a
Tiffany
friend of
stained
Henry
glass?
Flagler.
Who's that?
So he made those windows that are around that cafeteria.
I
right
can
here.
zoom in on stuff.
Those are called stained glass windows.
You
Now,
can
they're
zoom
very
in.
valuable. There were $100
What the heck is that?
million.
That's
a lot
not
of
the
money,
jail.
guys. A lot of money. Now, coming up in front of you, you're going to see a couple more big hotels. One of them is right in front of you there. Right now it's called the Leitner Museum. The Leitner Museum. But before it was the Leitner Museum, it was Henry Flagler's second hotel. And that one was called the Alcazar. Now the Alcazar Hotel had the world's biggest swimming pool inside.
Jason, touch the pole.
It was between two streets. That's how big it was, okay? The world's biggest swimming pool. Now,
Starbucks!
bowling alley.
Right there!
Theater.
Can we go to Starbucks?
Oh my God.
We have to go to Starbucks. We have to go to Starbucks. Imagine a phone ball. Imagine a phone ball up here. I'd do it back for you. Where the statue's at?
That statue is Henry Flagler, the man I've been talking about all this time. Now, another friend of Henry Flagler's built this castle on the left. You see this beautiful castle over here?
No!
That is really special because
Stop!
just the clock that's what it looks like. The guy who built that one was a guy named Franklin Smith, and he was an architect that came from Boston.
It's cold.
It's cold outside. I want to leave now.
And go to the jail where it's colder.
Are we going to the jail?
Later.
Because I want to tell you about civil rights. Who knows about civil rights?
We all know
A
that.
lot of things happen.
We all have it. We all bet it.
Now, we
What's
have
something?
a
Something wicked
town back
here.
here that is called Lincolnville.
Lincolnville.
Lincolnville is named after. Who do you think Lincolnville's named after?
Oh wait, I want the jacket. I want the jacket.
President Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
Right? That's what Lincolnville is named after. Now,
I don't know where.
what happened was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. used to come down here a lot back in the 1960s. That's when they signed the Civil Rights Act, 1964,
Okay, now
right?
it's
And that was because Dr. Martin Luther King he made some very, very famous marches for civil rights. And one of them was on this very road. So, Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, this is one of two
Yeah, this is one of my phones.
That's
That's one.
I
I just didn't bring my other one.
Well, the only other one
Martin Luther King.
I didn't know that was for a bit.
town of Atlanta, Georgia.
You know it's playing, right? Yeah, I know.
These
Has a
houses
lot
are
of history,
I don't care.
including a man by
Why
the
can't
name
we have
of
houses
Dr.
like
Robert
this?
Haley, who was
Where can we have
Look
a
at
house?
that house. It's cool as heck.
the friend of
It's
Dr.
bigger than all of
Martin.
our
Look at that big house.
And those are the two guys that planned
Isn't that
the
big?
Martin
That's not a house.
Luther King.
That is.
Dr. Robert Haley was the first dentist in the city.
That isn't a house.
He used to
Oh,
have a
man.
dentist office back
That would be a nice house.
What is it? Yeah, it is a house. No.
That would be a nice house, though.
It's like a
Now
hotel.
they have museums back here, and they have
Ukraine!
a lady
Ukraine!
that lives over here. I'm gonna show you her house.
Ukraine.
Now this lady's name is Cora Tyson, and she used to let Dr. Martin Luther King stay in her house when he visited the city, like dozens of times back in the 1960s.
A lot of these houses are
She still
abandoned.
lives in this house today.
They're not
By
abandoned.
herself.
Oh, you think that's not abandoned?
People might see
She
her.
is 99 years old, guys. This house right here on the right. You see that house? That's where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
They
used to
look
stay
like
overnight.
gang members, but they actually
Visited the
are.
city,
Oh.
planning those
Everything off
peaceful
you.
marches.
No, there's no bad guys here. They
Friend
have
right here,
banners.
Dr. Robert Haley.
If they
This
did,
was
they'll
his
get
dentist
jumped.
office. And those two fellas planned all
If
this
there
work.
was a shooting, they would have the fort cannons on.
Yeah, and they still use them.
Now I'm
Yeah.
going to show you another very famous hotel of Henry Flagler's, another historical.
I see the United States flag everywhere I go.
It's going to be called the Casa Monica, and it is one of the most luxurious hotels in the country. The Casa Monica cost $5 million to build. In 1880.
5 billion!
That would be like $20 million today. That's a lot of money, okay? Now, the fellow who built that hotel was Franklin Smith, the same guy that built that castle over there called the Muse Arena. And but he didn't have that much money, so when he built the hotel, he was really hoping that he could fill it up fast and charge a lot of money for it so he could pay back the
Yeah,
money
this is
he
enough for
borrowed
my
to build it.
for my
But that
family.
didn't happen.